Hi, this is Haskett Hall, which used to be the Department of Photography and Cinema. It's now the Media Arts Center, and we'll take a look at it. So Ohio State decided they didn't need a photo and cinema department, even though they're probably the biggest campus in the United States. So although this is no longer the photo and cinema department, there still is a media center store. And even though it's just after Christmas, we're in luck because they still have a couple of Royal typewriters and glass jugs for sale. Okay, well, it's 15 years later and there's no more Department of Photo and Cinema. You can see that the men's bathroom window is still open. So you or Ben Dobbs can still climb up that tree and get inside.
After we got out of school, Jay and I, we were trying to develop different feature ideas, and we met with local investors and local people interested in making movies, but they didn't pan out. We pitched some ideas, and we thought about doing an anthology film, a horror film with little stories, vignettes, and then connecting those. But we really wanted to do a full-length, full-blown feature, so I said, Jay, why don't you turn Beyond Dreams Door into a feature? I think there's enough meat there that there's different things to explore. I mean, it won't be one of these things where you just take this 20-minute thing and pad the hell out of it and people are falling asleep.
Even though I was not involved in the feature, I really wish I was. I think it's such an exciting project that occurred at Ohio State University because it was the first feature done at Ohio State.
We did this as sort of as a student project. It was a professional project with investors, and we had our own company. But much of the crew was filled in with students from Ohio State, and we got the department, the film department there at Ohio State, to give us an independent study, so that students could earn credit while working on the project. Now, most of them should have gotten many more credit hours than they actually did.
Yeah, I got back into film school so that we could get access to a bunch of equipment and free crew and etc. And off we went to make this movie.
Having just watched Beyond Dreams Door for the first time in a while, man, my major memory of the film is just how cool it was actually to be doing something with these guys who I'd done a lot of projects with through the film department at Ohio State, and really enjoyed acting with them. And it was such a hoot just to have a chance to do film acting, because I was always doing theater stuff up to then. But to be working on a project that you really thought might get finished and put in a can and that somebody else might, pay to see sometime. So one of the coolest things about Beyond Dreams Door was that it actually had a life, and that it still has a life.
This is the reason I became an actor. I became an actor to be in films. Up to that point, I was only doing theater. I enjoyed doing theater. I enjoyed interacting with a live audience, but film was my first love. So to have the opportunity to play a lead role in a film, and what I consider to be a pretty intelligent horror film, that was a great opportunity for me.
Some of my first and most precious, fun childhood memories are my father acquainting me with his mental library of great horror films. My dad turned me on to many things that have been very important to my formation as a person, but horror films were one of the biggies. In Columbus, we used to stay up on Friday night to watch Chiller Theater, which was always a double-header of horror films. And I'll never forget my dad, trying to talk us into taking a nap so we could stay up late enough. And son of a gun, the first time I was old enough to actually do that, there was some movie on that was just, it wasn't any good. And my father apologized for days about how it let him down, and he was so sorry that it wasn't a great movie, but one of these nights would catch a good one.
One of my earliest memories, I was probably 7 years old, somebody, I think it was my uncle, took me to see Psycho, and of course that had a huge impact on my life. I don't think I quite understood what the deal was with that movie. There were certain images, of course, that are burned into my memory. I knew I was seeing something that was forbidden. There was a whole forbiddenness about that movie, you know, and that Hitchcock, I think, put into that movie, and it was even in the advertising, you know, no one is allowed to enter after the picture has started, you know. And the whole thing about the shower and showing the toilet and everything, it was the whole forbiddenness. And the fact that I was there and able to see that movie at the age of 7, that was a milestone in my life to see that. And so there are a lot of key movies in my life, and it seems like they're all horror movies.
Horror movies are scary. I don't watch them. No, I've always been a big fan of horror movies. You know, going back to the Frankenstein movie, I remember hiding behind the couch during the first, actually Bride of Frankenstein, when he falls down in the windmill that is caved in, and then he pokes his head out after the woman falls in there, and that was terrifying.
Frankenstein spoke to me so personally that I have a study today with Frankenstein models and 2 really great Frankenstein paintings on the wall. I still feel like I'm, you know, related to or connected to that monster.
The Hammer Frankenstein's like Curse of Frankenstein, begging my mother to take me to the drive-in to see it, and then going and then just hiding under the seat the whole time, and she's pissed off because she has no desire to see the Curse of Frankenstein. She's dragging me there, and then I don't even want to watch the thing.
And I remember when I started doing films with Jay, I asked him about 2 specific films, and also with Nick, because Nick has quite a film library and watches a lot more film than I do. So I asked these guys about these films that I wanted to see again, because certain images or moments really, really, you know, got to me. But I couldn't look them up or figure out what they are or go to rent them because I didn't know what the titles were. And we finally figured out that one was called The Crawling Eye. And it turns out that my wife, Angela, was also scared by that movie when she was a kid.
The Blob, I couldn't, I had to leave the theater for The Blob. I couldn't, you know, the fear just overcame me. And then the first horror film that I was able to sit through was House on the Haunted Hill. And to be able to do that, to be able to actually sit through one of these horror films, and House on the Haunted Hill was pretty darn scary. To be able to sit through that gave me such confidence. Finally, I was able to confront these fears that I had, and I overpowered them. And I'm all of about 7 years old, but to be able to do that, I think instilled some confidence in me and just helped me grow as a person.
I like horror movies if I get intellectual about it, because I think they help us work out fears in a way that cannot be worked out in any other realm. No other art form speaks to some of my fears, anxieties, compulsions, excitements in the way that horror films can. And I believe it's because they play with imagery and story in a way that is not reduced to what we call reality.
As a cinematographer, they're great because you get to do things that enhance the film without taking away from the story. Where if you did some of the lighting I did in this movie in a drama, it'd be people would go freaking out. They'd go, well, why is that blue? Why is that red? No. But in a horror film, you're dealing with really strong emotions. So you can do these things that really enhance the story without like stealing the thunder of the actors and the mood they're setting. And where in drama, you let the actor set the tone.
The roles from the short version of Beyond Dream's Door and the feature Beyond Dream's Door, the roles of Nick and Rick are reversed from each other, which was an interesting concept. When I first saw the feature, I was confused. Well, there's Nick, there's Rick. Wait a minute, they're saying each other's lines. I was confused.
Original short version of Beyond Dream's Door, I played Ben. And when you asked Nick and I to switch roles here on this, my first response was, well, no, yipes, you know, what's wrong with what I did the first time? But that's just the, you know, the insecure actor talking. So I looked at the script, and I first verified that it was a big enough role that I wanted to do it, and that was good. But Eric really is interesting because he's somebody who does try to save his own neck. And, you know, there's that great, you know, cliche in horror movies where you watch the movie and you can always tell the person what they should be doing so that they don't get killed. But Eric had the good sense to try to save his life a few times. And I found that interesting just because it was a little bit different from the run-of-the-mill sort of stereotypical script. Of course, it broke my heart to kick my good friend Nick out the door of my apartment in that scene. But as Eric Baxter, I was proud of the fact that I was trying to disengage myself from this ridiculous tragedy and save my life.
This university I went to, Ohio University, they made up all these T-shirts that said Camp OU because it was like a summer camp. It was my first time away from home, and you know, I did a lot of growing up there, and I think Ben Dobbs is a person who's like at that crossroads in life, and where he's desperately trying to make a connection with people, and he's just growing into adulthood, and he's very awkward, but he's trying to make connections with people, and he's finding it very difficult.
The other thing about Eric Baxter was just that he was sort of he turned out to be a friend in the end, and I enjoyed just being able to capitalize a little bit on that relationship between Eric and Ben, since Nick and I certainly had that relationship in our acting life before we started working on this film.
That's one of the things I think in hindsight that I wish I had explored more was his desperation to connect with people. I think if that had been shown more, it would have made for a much more poignant ending to the movie, in that the one character that he finally makes a connection with, he loses at the end. And I think that ultimately is what his journey is about, and what the movie is about, is him trying to make connections with people, and that, you know, just doesn't work for him, doesn't work out for him. And so that's his tragedy, and that's what the movie, I think, is about.
I've always played this game with myself, that I've tried not to nail it down too specifically or get too literal about what it means. And I'm able to do that with certain books and movies that I really like, that I just sort of leave them someplace and I don't analyze them like I analyze most things, backwards and forwards and inside and out, until sometimes you've sucked the life out of the darn things.
Can you see him here?
No, I'm framing it out.
Oh, I'm completely glued to the floor.
Right before we lift,
How does he look? How does he look? So a lot of the people that worked on this were students, so they did a real good job for students in film. Some of them were first year, some of them were fourth year, some of us were graduate students at the time. But it was an experience, and we did a lot of night shoots. Besides other classes, all the students had to be out all night working at night, and didn't get a lot of sleep.
Doing a film like this, a lot of it's guerrilla filmmaking. It's always done on the run, and it's always do it really quick and fast, and no time for rehearsal. So when things do work in a film like this, you're grateful, because like most actors, I'm my worst critic.
I think I feel kind of, or appear a little bit wooden in the earlier parts of the film when I'm trying to flirt with Julie. I wish I could have been more relaxed or more aggressive or more something. I seem to be just a little reserved or something in that scene.
Things in the movie that I do think work well are the scenes that I have with Rick, and I think that's because Rick and I have a rapport.
I think as soon as the interaction with Ben starts, I felt like I was able to be acting more naturally and be fully in the moment, which is my goal as an actor, is to be fully in the moment and reacting to whatever's going on, as opposed to knowing ahead of time what I'm supposed to be doing and doing it.
We would go off and rehearse things and go over lines, and we would, you know, while they were setting up lights, and we would try to, you know, make it, you know, find whatever the essence of the scene was and make it work, you know. And I think the fact that we had worked together and we had played brothers in a play years before that, we had a connection, and I think that connection kind of shows up on screen.
Ben and I at the end, I think that all works really well. I noticed actually tonight when I was watching it that I thought I was more relaxed and my face had more chance to express different things from the time Ben and I kind of decide to go off and try to fight this monster.
I'm really proud of the work I've done in it. I look back at it and I go, oh my God, what was I thinking? But at the time, I was proud of what I did. There's still some wonderful stuff going on in it. I played with gels a lot. I tried to like go for that kind of Argento look. Sometimes subconsciously, I didn't even know what I was doing. Using the strong red gels and blue gels to give that look.
One of the great advantages in working on this film was I was in a troubled relationship at that time with a woman, and we were off and on, and at that particular point when we were making this movie was one of the off periods, and I was pretty lonely, and I was kind of desperately wanting to spend some time with her, so I remember one night I had the scar on my forehead, and so we were shooting well into the night, and so I decided I'd go over to her house, and I knocked on the door, and I had this scar on my head, and I think that scar helped me get laid that night, which I was very grateful for that happening.
One of my greatest regrets, actually, is that I've been in all these monogamous relationships, and I could never take a woman up to Blockbuster and say, look, I'm listed here under star.
It's one of the perks of being a film actor is, you know, women are very impressed when they see scars, and especially if they're scars from, you know, they know you've been working in a movie. They get very impressed by that sort of thing. So that was one of the great advantages of working on Beyond Dreams Door.
I never got to cash in on that, so to speak. But that's the only regret I can think of in the whole production, because it was great fun.
I had a great time. I had a lot of fun. People were, you know, it was great working with one of my best friends, Rick, and Scott, the cameraman. He was great and very funny, and there was a lot of joking around. You know, for a horror film, there was a lot of laughter.
Well, Beyond Dreams Door was my first feature film experience, and it was great. I mean, I can't, it was probably the most fun I'd ever had on a movie up to then, and maybe up till now, because we didn't know any boundaries. We just went out and made this movie because it was something we wanted to do.
I enjoyed it too. It's like you scratched a couple of things. Zombie action. Okay, Dan, go. Cut. Man,
I
you
got
missed
it.
He jumped about 8 feet over that thing.
Jay, as director, was very low key, and we're talking about a guy who had just graduated from college, or you know, was in his last year at college or whatever, and so fairly young. And I think to have all this responsibility, he's you know, he's got all this money that he's been given that he has to spend very carefully. He has this crew and cast, and he's written this thing, and he has all this responsibility, but he's very low-key, and I don't think I never saw him lose his temper.
Jay and I try to keep the camera moving as much as possible. I mean, sometimes you don't want to move it. You got to motivate that stuff, but I tried to keep the camera, you know, dialing in, dialing out, and just, you know, working with lenses. I mean, Jay, he called the shots. He knew what he wanted.
A good experience, a lot of fun, and I attribute a lot of that to Jay because he always kept a level head and never lost his temper, and everything went smoothly, and I think he deserves probably most of the credit for that.
Some directors I've worked with later are like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, we put him here and we'll have this, and okay, that's great. And then they talk to the actors for an hour, and the actors blather on about my feelings this and my feelings that. And then we say, all right, let's just go. No, I like actors, don't get me wrong.
Can I have that quote again, Dirk, just for the camera?
What? I don't yell at people. I yell at the stupid things that they do.
Thank you.
The post-production schedule that we had with this film was kind of a nightmare because we actually got a distributor fairly early on showing footage. We had a deadline for delivery, and the post-sound is always the thing that gets shortchanged with a fast post-production schedule. So actually, in my apartment, my roommate at the time was doing the post-sound. We actually had a tape, quarter-inch tape, and a little edit controller for this thing and actually mixed the tracks onto 1/4-inch tape. And I would get about an hour's sleep at a time over a period of about 3 days. And then Steve was down at the recording workshop in Chillicothe doing the final mix. And we would have somebody, Tim Hauer actually, who worked on the film, would come over and make a drive from Columbus down to Chillicothe with these tapes like every 6 or 8 hours to get them down for the final mix. So after 3 days of this, Jay and I got in the car, the director of course, got in the car to drive down to Chillicothe, middle of the night, I don't remember what time it was. We were both dead tired, and we were driving down these windy backcountry roads, and all of a sudden, I saw something out of the corner of my eye and heard this whack on the windshield, and it was a bat. A bat had hit the windshield, and I think we were both about ready to doze off and drive off the edge of the road at that point, so that bat may have saved our life.
We tried to give it a much better look than what our budget was. I mean, we had pennies to spend, so we were trying to create this look of a movie that was costing 3 or 4 times the budget.
These kinds of low-budget projects just kind of, they'll take everything out of you that they possibly can. And it was a lot of fun. It was a hell of an experience. And we got it done and we got it distributed.
The big memory I have of making Beyond Dreams Door is there was a lot of, the director telling me, sit here, or look over that way and scream, or lay down here and scream, or look at your hand and say, I can't feel anything, and all this stuff happening out of context and everything. It was a lot of fun, and I did a lot of screaming in Beyond Dreams Door, and one of the screams that I did was, there was this giant, I was told, look over at this bed, and there's this giant monster that's coming up out of the sheets, and I want you to just scream your head off. And so I did that. Fine, worked out. I don't remember what I imagined when I did the scream, but I did it. And then when I saw the finished movie, what emerged from the bed before I screamed happened to be a naked woman. Now, I don't know about you, but I generally don't scream when I see a naked woman. Well, maybe later on after an encounter with a naked woman, but not initially when I see a naked woman.
Oh, great. Maybe I could say a little bit about the Dream Seductress. I don't know if Jay's going to talk about the Dream Seductress, but originally that was not going to be in the film. It wasn't in the script, and the distributor wanted some TNA. So Jay, I think very well worked it into the script, and I think it worked real well, and we put that in there.
It was kind of funny that through the magic of editing, there was a statement was made about that character that he was screaming at a naked woman when it was originally supposed to be a monster. What that says about Ben Dobbs, I don't know, but I'll leave that to the audience to decide.
I remember telling Jay, why didn't we have the Dream Seductress in the short after seeing the feature?
We also had to pad out the length of the film a little bit, and there's a film short called Come to Me Softly that I had actually worked on as the DP.
One of the funniest things about Come to Me Softly is that during various parts of Beyond Dreams Door's life, it appeared as part of the movie. And I didn't know that it was going to be there in its entirety, I don't think, the first night I saw a viewing of Beyond Dreams Door. So I was pretty shocked to see it all in there. And again, the actor's ego in me was quite pleased to see it in there, since I got all that more screen time. And it's funny that we think that way, but we do. But the coolest thing, really, is that in Beyond Dreams Door, since it's dreams, you could have slid any number of things in there and it would have basically worked.
You do what you have to do to get a film distributed, and when you're young and you're not sure exactly what you should or shouldn't do with a project, you basically do what they tell you to do. So we padded it out with that. We added this scene in here, and I think it worked out very well for the film, even though it wasn't original intention.
And it worked as another incarnation of the monster who takes all these different forms. So, son of a gun, it makes sense. And it's kind of one of the fun things you can do with movies that have dream component. And it's also one of the strange things about our dreams, is how the same thing can appear in so many different forms in certain dreams. You're talking to somebody, but you're really talking to somebody else, and you know you're really talking to somebody else, but they're in this person's body. What does that mean? It does mean something.
It's best left to the audience to decide what is the meaning of Beyond Dream's Door. It's also up to the audience to decide whether it's a great movie. I think it's a great movie because I was in it. The audience has to decide whether it's a great movie just on their own terms.
A lot of people say Beyond Dream's Door, low budget, a la Nightmare on Elm Street. This script was written years before Nightmare on Elm Street ever came out, so I would like to say that in Jay's defense.
Thinking about dreams and the way they work in this film and the way they work in your real life, that's a real powerful question, because I'm one of those people who have been really deeply affected by some of the dreams in my life. I've had dreams that I've awakened from and been mystified by, but been able to remember long enough, or written them down and really thought about them long enough to feel that they were teaching me something. And I've never gone through psychoanalysis with dreams, but I know I've done some of that stuff on myself, and I truly believe that they are parts of ourself talking to our, trying to make contact with our conscious self. That's happened to me a number of times in life, where I believe I've received important information or been taught a lesson in my dreams that it would have been harder to learn in real life.
I do think it has some things to say about people connecting, and how dreams do have an impact on our lives, and how we all are influenced by our dreams.
So the idea of somebody who can't remember their dreams and doesn't have that ability or freedom and outlet that I think we have to have as human beings, that's a truly horrifying place to be.
We all may be dreaming right now, for all we know, and maybe when we're watching this movie's a dream. Maybe movies are dreams. Maybe we're all in movies. Maybe dreams are movies. Maybe we are a dream within a dream within a movie within a movie.
So for those of you who can get into that, you know, I certainly have been down that path many times, and look forward to the next example, the next opportunity to learn something from that realm. I believe the universe is trying to talk to us all the time in many ways, and our dreams are one of the forms that that communication can take.
Or maybe the whole universe is set up as a movie, which is a dream within a dream, and that the great director is actually Jay Wolfel, and he controls everything. You never know, and I think that's what Beyond Dream's Door is saying. You never frickin' know.
Currently, I'm a lighting director, camera operator, as well as teach video single camera narrative production here at the Bowling Green State University. I show Beyond Dream's Door, the short, to my students to this day, and they are still mesmerized by it. They love watching it. They love hearing the stories. They love to hear the process that this was a short. It was entered at Cal State Fullerton, won first place entertainment category. The director, Jay, went on to write and direct the feature-length script. This is what every student that I have here that wants to get into this is so, such inspiration to them. I mean, I see it in their faces and their actions, because, wow, this is something that we can do.
After Beyond Dream's Door, I did a couple other features. I did a feature with Linnea Quigley called Fallen Angels, which was a real hoot. I played a satanic priest. This was loads of fun because I got to strap a woman to a giant boulder and actually take a knife and rip her bra off. And, we were going to do a sacrifice, but she was rescued just in time. It was It was great fun, but the movie was never released, and we're probably all the better for it.
And since Beyond Dreams Door, I've shot 12 other feature films on film and a bunch on video, which I don't like to mention. There's some pretty good ones in there.
I went down to Florida and did a film Ron Jeremy appeared in. But it wasn't a porno film, although I played a porn director. And the movie did get released. It's called They Bite, and it was directed by a man by the name of Brett Piper. It was a lot of fun.
I've shot some sci-fi films. I wrote a film and shot it that Jay directed called Unseen Evil. I'm gearing up to shoot a sci-fi film this summer. I just finished up a kind of drama about a family drama about two brothers who are in like a dying steel town, and they enter a tough man contest, and in the end they end up facing each other off, but learning to love each other while pounding each other in the head. But it's actually a good drama.
Well, I'd have to say that Jay Wolfel found me as an eager, younger actor those years ago, working in college theater, working in local theater here in Columbus, Ohio, and in many ways I'm still doing the same thing. I've gotten other degrees since then and had certain other careers, but I am still a largely self-employed person who has arranged his life to have a lot of time to devote to artistic endeavors, and some of those, fortunately, are still theater.
My little ditty, the actor's life and
Is it coming out the back over there?
I'd like to thank the crew. I mean, we had a lot of people. We just watched the movie and we looked at the credit list, and the great thing is a lot of the people that worked on this movie are still making movies to this day.
It was a great bunch of people to work with on this project, and I'd like to work with them again sometime soon. We have done some other projects since then together, but on various capacities. But this was the first big one. We had done some small videos together. A core group of us, Jay and Scott and I in particular, had worked on some other small projects together before this, and when we tackled this baby, I'm not sure we knew exactly what we were in for, but it would be nice to see it on DVD with enhanced features.
This was a fun shot. I remember I was lying on the floor of the garage, and just having the car just coming in, and I had somebody just right in front of me. It's like, just keep coming, and like, yeah, right at that camera. I love doing that. I love seeing things come right at camera, and just really, almost there. It would have been great in 3D. Beyond Dreams Door, Part 3 in 3D.
I did come up with a sequel to Beyond Dreams Door. Actually, it was inspired by a dream in which there's a researcher in this lab doing research on dreams. He's somehow recording them, and somehow he ties into Ben Dobbs because he's the guy that's at the center of this huge dream that's absorbing these people. And it just as a vague idea, and at some point Ben Dobbs just steps out of the wall and sucks this guy into the dream world. That was my idea for the sequel. So anybody got a couple $100,000 laying around, nothing to do with it, we'll take care of it. We'll make a sequel to Beyond Dreams Door.
Cut.
you're out there watching, and I know where you're from. You're gonna have to kill me to stop me, or I'll kill you.
The experience of being in the first Beyond Dreams door and the second Beyond Dreams door and playing a different character, and actually with my friend Nick, you know, we played Eric and Ben, and then we reversed characters for the long version.
My previous experience up to that point with film was working as an extra on the two major Hollywood films that so happened to be shot in Central or around Central Ohio, in or around. One was the movie Brubaker with Robert Redford, where I played a prisoner. I actually got to work about 6 weeks on that. I was one of the first extras they hired, so I got to run around with Redford, and who else was in that? I became good friends with Joe Spinell on that picture, who is a character actor some may be familiar with, who's passed away a long time ago, but he was a great guy. Everett McGill was another guy who worked on that picture, who I got to hang out with a little bit. That was the fun of working on that movie, because most of the time I was just waiting around, and they'd put me in prison garb, and I'd just wait around, and it didn't do much of anything. It turns out I had about 2 seconds of screen time. If you see that movie, there's a prisoner that spits, and that's me. So I'm the uncredited spitter in that movie.
When I played Ben the first time, I was really intrigued by the character because I've always felt kind of haunted myself, and things like walking across the street and having that leaf go into the drain in a spooky manner was something I could really, relate to.
I see Eric Baxter as being someone who's when I played him, he was a very aloof person, and Ben Dobbs was someone who came to him in need, and he just kind of brushed him off. In a lot of ways, I think I based him on people who I'd met in my experiences in college, upperclassmen, TAs, people who thought, that a freshman, a lowerclassman was scum, and wasn't really worth the time of day. And so he pretty much got what he deserved in the movie, I thought, because of the way he blew Ben Dobbs off.
Probably the things that I liked the most were the scenes that enabled me to use a lot of the colored lights. Now, maybe today this doesn't seem like such a big thing, but if you're looking at some of the episodics on television at that time in the 80s, we're seeing a lot of more flat lighting, more natural look, hardly any bright, vivid colors. Some things did break these molds, and this is a really fun experiment that we did where light played an important character as far as the progression of the story or the character themselves as a representational of a certain color.
Where's the distorted lens?
Oh, can somebody get the distorted vision lens, please?
Where'd Donna go?
I was asked to be involved through my friend Rick. It was fun. It was a dream, if you'll forgive the pun, since that we're dealing with a film that deals in dreams. But movies were, of all other art forms, that was the one that intrigued me most. That was the one that caught my attention first, and that was the one that had the most influence in my life. That was a very, very exciting thing for me.
Shake.
The other things that I really loved doing about Beyond Dreams Door, with the script, the way it was written, all the interesting visual imagery that we were allowed to play with. I recall many nights the crew we'd lose a few crew members here and there, and eventually what occurred was it was just pretty much Jay and I working with some of the objects that I photographed, and the little storytellings throughout the nights, and finding different ways to light things, and going through odd pieces of glass or lighting, and just experimenting until we got the look that worked well. Some of the fun things that I liked doing, I remember the rain sequence.
And they're throwing water on me, and they're squirting water on me, and it was a rather chilly, summer night. And I was really cold, and I'll tell you, my nipples were hard. And It was very, very uncomfortable to do, but it was one of those sensory things where I thought, I'm not having any trouble acting here. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I forget what my line is exactly at that moment, but I know that I had no trouble being fully in the moment. I had no choice because the sensory experience was really so overwhelming.
This is the studio at Ohio State University. Shooting this scene meant a lot to me. When I was a student there, I remember my first year going there and walking into the studio because I really couldn't wait to get immersed into a career in film. So a lot of times I would do my homework in there or just walk around. I'd play with the lights. And it's interesting because all the time that I spent in the studio as a student, we shoot a major scene, so this whole sequence in the studio with the trap doors and the monster coming in and all that. So it was really fun. A lot of the shooting went late at night. The doors don't actually open up. We had to build some plywood doors that were in a creek bed, I believe. And I remember lying down as they actually physically open up.
Where I jump down in and the doors close above me in the original is Ben. And I think we filmed that, I believe, in the creek behind Jay's house.
But those doors, those concrete doors, unless you went to school there or physically saw them, they're wedged into place. I don't think we ever did that. I hope not. And I will never commit myself if we did.
And I'll never forget, you know, we do the scene a few times, and there was a woman who worked on the crew. I don't remember what her name was. And I would remember my job was to look frightened as I jumped in there and I saw the monster coming in on top of me. It wasn't, and we talked about this, I wasn't supposed to be determined or brave. I was supposed to be frightened at this thing coming in. And I'll never forget her after the shoot saying, "You chicken."
Shake. 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 Cut.
I still see part of the caribou hide. Okay, he's out totally. Look pretty convincing. Look pretty good.
It's up more.
Let's get to that.
Invisible man head.
Hold the light still.
Oh, right there.
No, I'll leave it back where it was. I can't get in there. No, back. There. Let's see my hands. Oh, what is that? Shake.
plane.
What's for that?
Can you see my face behind there?
Yeah, it looks really wild.
You can see my eyes through the holes.
I can see one of them real good, and the other one's kind of just like a black hole. Let me see.
That's all right, one eye.
Shake. 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 Shake.
Yeah, pull it a little closer. So you want, yeah.
Can you get closer to the camera? Yeah, a little bit. Well, you had it a little bit there, and you had it. It looked pretty neat.
Close up.
There you go.
Oh, no. Oh, I can't see it, can you?
You can see one of the edges.
Open and close your mouth.
Oh,
Oh,
No, you can see the edge of the mask. That's Nick.
oh, it's alright, it doesn't matter. You can see the ear, so it covers it. Angle the light more so you can see my face when I scream. Focus on my face, and I'll put the mask over, then it'll be.
Okay.
Mask over this mask.
Ooh, cool.
See,
Pointing down.
See, it'll work at the end, real quick. We're not.
Right there. Back of it.
I like that.
Just the teeth.
Yeah, I'll get it close over the mouth. Lunge at the camera. Do it quick. Close it. Yeah, that's nice.
It's kind of friendly that way. Hi, neighbor. Can you say existential hell?
Come to Me Softly was one of the more enjoyable short films that I got to make with Jay. Enjoyable in a number of ways, not the least of which was the fact that we got to shoot in the famous Pink House up in New York. And it's a place owned by Jay's parents that's enormous and pink and on the National Register of Victorian pink houses. But it's so big that you can do a lot of different films in the house and not know that you were shooting in the same place. So we did a few projects up there. The guys who were making it had various technical objectives that they were really clear about. One of which that I remember was a long shot where you would back out through all these strange rooms in the basement. You'd previously walked through each of these rooms going forward, and then there's a shot where the camera pulls back out through them all and the doors have to slam. And there was definitely some, physical challenges to pulling off that shot, and it looks really nice. You've probably already heard me say that I like being attacked by monsters, apparently, and the monster gets me in the end. And it's also a film that occurs without dialogue. I get the biggest kick out of showing this movie to people today, because half the time it takes them a while to even recognize that I'm the guy in the film. Between the glasses and the hair, it's like that's all it takes to fool most people into thinking that you're somebody else. And that always surprises me, but I always get a kick out of it too.
Yay. Where's Mr. Ashton at?
He's in the bathroom. We'll take you down there. Hey, Nick. Hi, Nick. I'm back.
I haven't seen Jay in so
great.
long. Good to see you. Let me get a
Bitchin'. I've been in California, man. It's bitchin'.
Drunk Ashton, ladies and
Drum
gentlemen.
roll, please. Drum roll.
Drunk Ashton, yes.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Long time no see.
Is that duffel bag going to be there, Simonson?
Yes, it has to be, because that was in the original shot. May I just see something real quick here?
Go ahead.
Is that a higher box?
Can I get out of this now?
No.
What are you, nuts? Bend down. You know, this really good.
Oh, hi.
I think Tim must have flushed himself down the toilet.
No, he's in watching this film.
Watching your film?
No, his film on.
What are you doing down there,
By
Dirk?
myself?
Are you helping out?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to lift these up so I can stick this thing through Nick's chest.
Oh,
Hey, will you be able to get down there so I can put this thing?
When it beeps like that, you're either over or underexposed.
3, go. Slow. Nope.
Didn't make it.
Wait a minute now, guys.
Try it again, please, one more time. It looks.
You lift your urine up.
Yeah, you're still getting a little bit of headroom above his head, which you could probably cut down here, maybe in half.
Oh, that hurt.
You guys try to keep your rolling.
Flail like a monkey.
2, 3, go.
God, Jesus.
Do one more.
Oh, that has a thing right
One more.
He's strong as the
That'll make it look more real.
No matter what happens, push it all the way.
Ready, friend?
Ready.
Roll camera.
Rolling.
1, 2, 3, go.
All right. Come on there, Nikki.
That's great, babe. Just 5 more. Just 5 more, babe. That was great, babe.
More there, buddy.